Be ready. Start. My lords, the damages which are to be awarded for a tort are those which, so far as money can compensate, will give the injured party reparation for the wrongful act and for all the natural and direct consequences of the wrongful act. The words so far as money can compensate point to the impossibility of equating money with human suffering or personal deprivations. A money award can be calculated so as to make good a financial loss. Money may be awarded so that something tangible may be procured to replace something else of like nature which has been destroyed or lost. But money cannot renew a physical frame that has been battered and shattered. All that judges and courts can do is to award sums which must be regarded as giving reasonable compensation. In the process, there must be the endeavor to secure some uniformity in the general method of approach. By common assent, awards must be reasonable and must be assessed with moderation. Furthermore, it is eminently desirable that, so far as possible, comparable injuries should be compensated by comparable awards. When all this is said, it still must be that amounts which are awarded are to a considerable extent conventional. In all but a few exceptional cases, the victim of personal injury suffers two distinct kinds of damage which may be classed respectively as pecuniary and non-pecuniary. By pecuniary damage is meant that which is susceptible of direct translation into money terms and includes such matters as loss of earnings, actual and prospective, and out of pocket expenses, while non pecuniary damage includes such immeasurable elements as pain and suffering and loss of amenity or enjoyment of life. In respect of the former, it is submitted the court should and usually does seek to achieve restitutio in integrum in the sense described above, while for the latter it seeks to award fair compensation. This distinction between pecuniary and non pecuniary damage by no means corresponds to the traditional pleading distinction between special and general damages, for while the former is necessarily concerned solely with pecuniary losses, notably accrued loss of earnings and out of pocket expenses, the latter comprises not only non pecuniary losses but also prospective loss of earnings and other future pecuniary damage. The practice is now established and cannot be gainsaid that in personal injury cases, the award of damages is assessed under four main heads. First, special damages in the shape of money actually expended. Second, cost of future nursing and attendance and medical expenses. Third, pain and suffering and loss of amenities. Fourth, loss of future earnings. Although you cannot give a man so gravely injured much for his lost years, you can, however, compensate him for his loss during his shortened span, that is, during his expected years of survival. You can compensate him for his loss of earnings during that time and for the cost of treatment, nursing, and attendance. But how can you compensate him for being rendered a helpless invalid? He may, owing to brain injury, be rendered unconscious for the rest of his days, or owing to a back injury, be unable to rise from his bed. He has lost everything that makes life worthwhile. Money is no good to him, yet judges and juries have to do the best they can and give him what they think is fair. No wonder they find it well nigh insoluble. They are being asked to calculate the incalculable. The figure is bound to be for the most part a conventional sum. The judges have worked out a pattern and they keep it in line with the changes in the value of money. It goes without saying that in matters of determination of compensation, both the tribunal and the court are statutorily charged with a responsibility of fixing a just compensation. It is obviously true that determination of just compensation cannot be equated to a bonanza. At the same time, the concept of just compensation obviously suggests application of fair and equitable principles and a reasonable approach on the part of the tribunals and the courts. This reasonableness on the part of the tribunal and the court must be on a large peripheral field. The inability to earn livelihood on the basis of incapacity or disability, which is quite different. The incapacity or disability to earn a livelihood would have to be viewed not only in presenti but in futuro on reasonable expectancies and taking into account deprival of earnings of a conceivable period. This had being totally different cannot in our view overlap the grant of compensation under the head of pain, suffering and loss of enjoyment of life. One head relates to the impairment of person's capacity to earn, the other relates to the pain and suffering and loss of enjoyment of life by the person himself. Broadly speaking, while fixing an amount of compensation payable to a victim of an accident, the damages have to be assessed separately as pecuniary damages and special damages. Pecuniary damages are those which the victim has actually incurred and which are capable of being calculated in terms of money, whereas non pecuniary damages are those which are incapable of being assessed by arithmetical calculations. In order to appreciate two concepts, pecuniary damages may include expenses incurred by the claimant: 1. Medical attendance; 2. Loss of earning of profit up to the date of trial; 3. Other material loss. Thank you.